Hello, board gamers, and welcome back to Not Board Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark. Now, in today's video, we're going to be previewing the solo experience of the upcoming Perseverance Episode 3 from Mind Clash Games, of course. Now, if you've played Perseverance Episodes 1 and 2, you'll know that it's an evolving story over 4 episodes. So in Episode 1, we kind of crash-landed on this island, and we had to fight back dinosaurs, etc. Episode 2, we started kind of explore out into the island. We found a temple. All the while, you're still trying to kind of build your kind of fragile democracy, let's call it, in the kind of downtown areas. Well, Episode 3 takes place after Episode 2, of course, and what's happened now is we've found a way to actually harness the dinos. That's right. You can actually get to ride dinosaurs in Episode 3. So this is about exploring further into the land and seeing what's out there. And I really can't wait to see what's in Episode 4. I must admit, I don't know anything about Episode 4 yet, how it kind of brings the whole thing to a conclusion. Look, I really enjoy Episodes 1 and 2. I prefer Episode 2 to Episode 1, but I still enjoy playing Episode 1 for a slightly lighter fare. If you are familiar with Episodes 1 and 2, then some of this gameplay, or most of the gameplay, will actually make a lot of sense to you. But it does obviously have some kind of new mechanisms in there, and it's a lot tighter as a game as well. There are only 8 turns in this. 8 turns in Episode 3. Doesn't sound like a lot, and in reality, it's not. And your early turns may seem to go a little bit quick. You kind of first turn or so, but by turn 3 and 4, you're starting to string some combos together, and it becomes this really exciting puzzle optimization. Now, of course, it's playable 1 to 4 players, but there is a solo mode, and in the solo mode, you're going to play against the dissenters. And effectively, what you're doing is you're vying to prove that you are worthy of leadership against the dissenters. Are obviously trying to stop you becoming or maintaining your leadership, and you're going to have to build up a level of acceptance in there. So it has an additional acceptance style. So it plays more or less. Your turn plays exactly the same as the main game. The dissenters obviously work in a slightly different way from a solo perspective, and there are 2 of them. So you're effectively playing a 3-player game. So a few things to note, first of all, is I'm not going to be playing a full game. I'm not really going to be going into the intricate mechanisms of how the game works as well. There's some excellent gameplay videos out there from people like Paul Grogan on Gaming Rules, who've done fantastic preview videos showing you how Perseverance Episode 3 works. What I want to do is give an overview on how the solo experience works from the point of view of the dissenters. I won't be going through every move that they do, but I can give you an indication on what happens. So also some other things to note as well. First of all, of course, the game is still in development. So, as much as the artwork here, etc., looks like it may be final, who's to say? And there may be some other changes that happen as well. And one of the key things is in the physical copy of the game, you get plastic saddles to put on the dinosaurs to show that they're tamed. TTS doesn't quite work that way, so I have to provide a coloured ring to show whose dinos is who on this. But of course, in the main game, you're going to get these little kind of plastic saddles to put on there. I was meant to be getting a physical copy of this. I know everybody prefers physical copies, but it's got lost somewhere. So it can't make its way to me until way too late into the campaign. So I've agreed with Mind Clash that I'll kind of cover this on Tabletop Simulator. So without much further ado, let me kind of take you down onto the player board and show you a little bit about kind of what's down here. Okay, so we got the main board itself. And if you watched if you played the first couple of episodes, you'll be familiar with some of this. So if you look down here, and I'll try not to move around too much. Okay, so over here we have the various districts in the main town. So we have downtown, we have military, we have expansion, and construction. And this is where you're going to place your dice, and effectively carry out actions that are on here as well. Now, when you place a dice on here on your turn, it has to match the kind of symbol that's on there, and you have to use your own die or the neutral dice. You can use other dice, but you end up paying a penalty for it. If you don't have that symbol, you can pay, I think it's either 3 glow berries or 2 followers to change the face of the die. And when you place your die, you get to carry out 2 of the 3 actions on here. If you place one of these if you place one of these dinosaurs on here that you've tamed, you can carry out all 3 actions. And each one is slightly different. So without going through them too much, this allows you to get kind of 2 food and 2 scrap or 2 island resources in any order that you want there. This allows you to get a shield head and 2 glowberries. This means that you pay a scrap, you put down 2 supply cubes, and you also get a raptor. Here you can get 2 hunters and also heal 2, and if you have anything in the infirmary, either a hunter or a dino, it costs 1 to heal a hunter and 2 to heal a dino. Here, if you pay the cost, you can tame up to 3 dinosaurs, and here you can get an adventure card. And if you played the previous versions, you'll be aware of adventure cards. They work ever so slightly differently here. Here is in the settler space, you get to carry out an action that's already on your ranch board, and I'll show you that in a second. Or you get to activate a place out in the wilderness that you've got a settlement on and get the resources from that. Here you get to place any settlement anywhere in the city, but not in the landmarks, which are these areas up here. And here, if you pay a food, you get to place it in the city and also get to put influence on one of these main characters down here. And over here in the workyard, you get to put something down in the wilderness, a settlement down in the wilderness, or you get to take a ranch action, or you get to pay pay an island resource, take a ranch action, and also take a ranch tile, should I say, and also gain a supply cube. So those are kind of the primary actions that you can take. Now within that, there's also other things that will happen. Basically, up on the board, you have these landmark areas here, which will give you some bonuses if you have your settlements on there. And then you can see out on the main board itself, there's lots of dinosaurs out here, and also lots of spaces, because you're going to be filling those with exploration cards, and these are these here. So as you explore the various areas, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to, as I say, kind of defeat the dinos, combat the dinos, defeat the dinos, put an exploration card on there, potentially take the bonuses by either placing a settlement on there or take another bonus at the bottom. And there are 3 distinct areas. We have the swamp, we have the hills, and I can't remember the name of this one here. It'll be somewhere, but there are 3. Oh, it'll tell me here, won't it? We have the swamp, the jungle, and the hills, and there are 3 distinct areas. And you'll also notice, if you remember episode 2, we found a temple. This is a shield head temple. Now there are 3 other temples on here as well, and you get to discover those temples as you go through the game, and you can see them here. We got a raptor temple, we got a thunderhorn temple, and we got an iron jaw temple, because there are different types of dinosaurs here. And when you get those, they will allow you the ability to then potentially train those dinosaurs if you defeat them free of charge, because you're going to be collecting artifacts throughout the game as well. Now, these artifacts down here, I think artifacts down here. You can see there are a number of them here. They fit very nicely onto your board here. And what these will allow you to do is, first of all, these 4 will allow you to get the bonuses that are under there, which is great. And these 4 will allow you to tame your dinosaurs. Otherwise, you've got to pay a cost to tame them. So these will allow you to do that once you cover them with an artifact. Chances are in a game, you're not going to get all 8, so you've got to think about that. So down onto the player board then. Again, it's slightly different. So we have our leader here. We have Keone, I've gone for, and we have a ranger here, and there are a number of rangers in the bag. You can also see that I've got some dinosaurs here as well. So I have one shield head, which has been tamed, so it's got a red ring around it. Let's say in the main game it'd be a saddle, one untamed shield head, and one untamed raptor. Now, you're going to use those for various things out on the board, and I'll explain that as I go along. This is the ranch area that I spoke about, okay? So you have this ranch area here, and these are actions that you can take by spending supply cubes. Now, as a secondary action, you get to do 2 things. One of them is to activate a perk on an officer card, that's these here, and the other one that you can do is take a ranch action. You can take 1 ranch action for free, but if you want to take more than 1 ranch action, then you're going to have to spend these supply cubes down here. So if you want to take 2 ranch actions, it's going to be 1 for free and then spend a supply cube, and if you want to take 3 ranch actions on that line, you're going to have 2 supply cubes there, and you'll pick supply cubes up throughout the game. You see these here as well, okay? So these particular ones here mean that they are rife for replacing with ranch tiles. So you can just keep them using as they are, and these all allow you to put influence on there. But when you cover them up with a new, more powerful ranch tile, what happens is you also get to claim this bonus underneath here. And here, up here, are the various ranch tiles. Now, there's a number of them on here, and there's actions in the game that will allow you to get them, obviously making your ranch more and more powerful. So you can see here that this one would give me 6 healing. So if I got 3 kind of dodgy dinosaurs in there, I could clear, or I could, if I activated this ranch ability, kind of heal those dinosaurs down there. This one will give me some influence, is it? Yeah, not influence. It give me some, I can't remember what it's called. There we go. Yeah, it is influence. It would give me some influence for every tame dino that I got out in the wilderness. So you can see there's a various number of them there, and they're going to get recycled roughly throughout the game. These are the exploration cards I mentioned that are going to go on these spaces once you've explored them. And here are the kind of end of game landmark cards. So the bottom row, you kind of randomly put these tiles out here, these cards out here. They dictate what these landmarks are here. Then throughout the game, at a certain point in the game, you're going to put you're going to put these top row on here, and they all have end of game abilities on there. So if you're settled on there, that says that for every settlement I've got in the wilderness, I would gain 1 influence. Okay. So that's kind of most of the main bit there. We've got the standard things. We've got the globerries. We've got the scrap. We've got the food and the island resource. I've got my Keone rider. So as I mentioned, you get to kind of ride dinosaurs in this game, and you start off with your leader, who's got all the abilities that are normally had, in the previous games. But then you get the rider. And the rider is like your leader, plus it gives you additional abilities and allows you to kind of use them instead of a dinosaur when you're putting stuff out there, and they're effectively riding a dinosaur out there. So that's kind of the main part of your board. This will start to get filled. These are your starting resources. When you've used your rangers, etc., they can maybe get tired, which is going to go in here. They maybe go to the infirmary. That means you've got to heal them, or maybe they get surrendered and you have to put them back in the bag, which obviously reduces your resources. You're going to start off with just 2 infirmary spaces, but there is something that will allow you to potentially move this tile and get 4 infirmary spaces. Okay, oops. Yeah, I'm not very good at this. Tabletop Simulator is not my thing. Right, okay, so that's that. Now let's move over to the dissenters board. Okay, so pretty much like in the in episode 2 and episode 1, you've got 2 dissenters. You've got Narek and you've got Camilla here. Okay, you can see I've got the miniatures up there. Down here are the gold cards. Now, gold cards in the multiplayer game work ever so slightly differently. In the solo game, you're going to take 1 15-pointer, 1 20-pointer, and 1 30-pointer with different officers down at the bottom, okay? And you're going to try and hit these goals because that's part of your kind of end score. There are also a number of agenda cards, which are these here. You're going to put 2 agenda cards, one on either side for each of the dissenters. And effectively, these are their kind of default actions, if you like. Something may ask you to do agenda A or agenda B. It's got a preference of where it likes to put things, and also a preference in terms of order of temples that it needs, etc. Down here is its bonus action as well, and it will get its bonus action once their reserve moves down and they get more than 5 reserve. What happens is that is going to move onto there, and that means at the end of their turn they get to carry out this bonus action. Okay, and that will move down throughout the game, and it will always go back to the step below where the starting reserve is. It starts off that they start off at 0. Actions can happen throughout the game, which means that can move down there. So suddenly when you go back, it's got more frequency that it's going to actually start doing its bonus action. So as the game goes on, there's a good chance that the dissenters are going to get more and more powerful. Okay, so here we have the dissenter minis, and the dissenters start the game with a tamed raptor and a tamed shield head, and they're going to use them out on the board. And then over here we have the D12 dissenter action cards, and within here there is, let me just flip these over, there should be kind of within the last 3 cards. It's not being done properly, so I'll just do this slightly different way. Just bear with me. I just need to make sure that we got the right one in the right place. I'm looking for the reshuffle card. Anybody see the reshuffle card? Because that should be down near the bottom. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that out. Just bear with me a second. I'll put that there. And then we're going to put all these back together. Because what happens is you're going to take 2 random cards. Okay, so we'll do this. It's quite good, actually, because it shows you what happens. So I'm going to flip this reshuffle card over. Here we go. Oops. There we go. Put that there for a minute. Flip those over. Shuffle those. Take 2 of those cards off. And one there and one there. Put that there. Shuffle those. Put these 9 cards on top of there, and that's the dissenter pile. So the reshuffle is down at the final, down somewhere in the final 3. We don't know which one of the final 3 it is, and why is that important? Because when they've gone through that deck, and you get to the reshuffle card, what's going to happen is you'll reshuffle the deck, but also this will start moving down as well. There are other actions that potentially make that move down, but that will start moving down. So the faster they go through those cards, or the longer you play the game, then there's more of an opportunity that they're going to start getting stronger. Now, on these cards, and I'll explain what happens, is you're going to put 3 of these cards out. So let's do it with the first 3 cards, and then I can we'll do that. So there's a bit of a setup that you have to do first, but let's just say you got these 3 cards out here, and then you flip that top one over. Okay, so when you're choosing the dissenters cards, you can see on this card that you got on the bottom of all of them, they've got these symbols here. Okay. And what this means is out of this stack, that the far left one is going to be the action that Narek's going to take, and the middle one is going to be the action that Camilla's going to take. As you can see, they can be quite different as well. So that's going to kind of randomize exactly which actions they take. So let me just flip that over, put that one, and that one, and that one. In fact, let's just take most of them away. 1 sec. Oh dear, we've done that wrong, haven't we? So I'll flip that over again. 1, 2, 3. Where's that reshuffle? Oh, there we go. That's it. We'll do that. Sorry about this. There we go. That was a bad move, Mark. Okay. 3. Flip that over. Flip that over. Shuffle. 1, 2. Shuffle those. And then add all of those onto there. And that back there. So that's kind of how those dissenter cards work, and we'll go through a little bit as it goes on. The final thing is the assembly board. So throughout the game, there's going to be certain assemblies that happen, which help you rack up your acceptance in the solo game. And I'll say acceptance is a purely kind of solo thing, basically. So what will happen here is that on the assembly, depending on whether it's a wilderness or a city assembly, is that whoever's got the most points would get 3. You would get 3 acceptance. You got the most points. If you're second, you would get this here, and if you're third, you would get that. But you're not. There's no third there, basically. So, but the dissenters don't get anything at all. So they're there purely to try and stop you getting acceptance. Now, in the multiplayer game, these would be influence, but in the solo game for the assemblies, they act as acceptance, and that's how you rack up your acceptance. And you can see here a little graphic that says when there's 3 dice there in any one of the cities, then what would happen is that you would then carry out a city assembly, and also down here and the final down in the stack somewhere, there is a wilderness assembly reminder, and when you hit that, when that gets unveiled, then that would also trigger another assembly, and you go through the various assemblies. So that's kind of most of it. They also collect artifacts, but in a slightly different way to you. And what those artifacts will do is they will actually start moving, affecting what happens with their reserve just here. Okay, so I'm more or less set up. The game is more or less set up under each of the 5 officers. You can see one up in the wilderness there, and then here, and here, there's a stash card, and this is purely for the start of the game. So to determine what's going to happen is, because we're going to go first, that means we actually get to choose the zone that we start in last. So the first, going to put 2 of these cards out. So let's start with Narek. Let's put 2 of these out first. So we'll take this and take this. So we're going to start with Narek, and what we're going to do is we're going to place their first settlement in the downtown area. Okay, so what we're going to do here is look at downtown. That's way over here. So what Narek is going to do is we're going to place a settlement for them. There we go. That's one of these up there. And they're also going to place an influence, there we go, on the captain. Then what we do is we get rid of that stash card under that captain that's no longer available. Okay, then we're going to move to Camilla, and she's going to go to the construction zone. So once again, we get a settlement for Camilla. There we go. And she's in the construction zone, which is there. And then we also get an influence as well, and we place it on the chief engineer just there. So we know those two stash cards have absolutely gone. So look at what's left here. So if I went up into the wilderness, which means I could effectively build here, I would get this stash card, which would allow me to have, let's see, a ranger and to heal one, and also to take an adventure card as well, and that's these here. There's a couple of adventure cards out. This one here would allow. This one here would allow me to have. I'd have to spend a glowberry, but I would be able to upgrade one of my ranch tiles and take the bonus that's on there. And this one is. It would allow me to get rid of a glowberry, but I'll be able to take a food, I think that is, and also get a raptor. So, do you know what? I'm kind of liking the chief of security here. So for me, I'm going to take my settlement. I'm going to place it here, okay? And I'm going to take an influence. There we go. And I'm going to place that there. And I'm going to take this stash. So I have to get rid of a glowberry. Obviously in the game, these are physical components, so that's -1. But I get to gain a food. I believe that is. Is it food? Yeah, I get to gain a food, which is useful. And also get to gain an untamed raptor. So let's get one of those and put that there. That's my dino thing starting to look pretty good at the moment. So we'll get all those over there. That is in essence, what's this? That is in essence, oh dear me. That's a card that should have gone. I'll just make sure it's not that. Yeah, it's not that. Okay, fine. That's a card that should have gone there. That is in essence kind of the setup done now. Now, I will apologise if I make any rules errors. I've been learning this on my own on TTS, looking at 3 laptops trying to do it. But hopefully I'll be able to give you a decent overview on kind of how it plays. I'm not going to play too many hands at all. Okay, so first go. Now, first go tends to be a little bit the hardest in any of the Perseverance games. All right, so we've got these dice here. In fact, let's just re-roll these again just so you can see. Right, and these are our kind of starting faces of dice there. So you can see there are 4 neutral dice. Then each of us, myself and the 2 dissenters, have 2 dice of our own colour. I can use my own coloured dice or any of the neutral dice, and if I want to use their dice, I have to pay a forfeit to do that, and it's not wise to be able to do that. Okay, so we look at all of the actions that we. Well, first of all, let's look at the board. I've got 1 ranger. I got 1 injured ranger. I have Keone as my leader, and I've got 1 shield head. Okay, fine. Yeah, and if I wanted to upgrade, I would have to spend a glowberry there. I'd have to tire out a ranger and spend a food to do one of my raptors, and I don't have either of these yet, so it really doesn't matter. Okay, so primary action. If you go down to the there we go. It tells you here what the flow turn is. I can place a die in any city and maybe play 2 or 3 followers. 2 berries or 3 followers to adjust the die or place an opponent's dissenter die. I can place a Thunderhorn, that's a yellow one, to take 3rd effect, and that's all within the place die. Or I can place a tame dino into the wilderness. So if I place a tame dino into the wilderness, that means I'm starting to explore from here. So we're coming out of kind of where we are here, and you look at these paths here, and this is placing dinos in the wilderness out here, and you must be able to kind of link these paths together. Now there's no settlement here at the moment, so there's nobody settled here, so I can't really place anything there, so I'm not going to do that at this stage. Okay, secondary action. I then get a secondary action. I can use one of my supply cubes. I use supply, and I can spend 0, 1 or 2 to get 1, 2 or 3 actions, or I can remove an influence from an officer to trigger their perk. There are no adventure cards yet, and what adventure cards do we got? So these are these here. So we have Swamp up the jam. I need to, if I take this adventure card, I have to use 2 hunters and 1 of any other unit on there. I don't have 2 available hunters, so I can't do that. And that one means I have to use 3 hunters, so I can't take an adventure card at the moment. I could, I think, start thinking about settling. So let's have a look at this. Yeah, I think I'm going to start thinking about settling on this one here, and I want to settle out on just here, which will allow then dinos to start moving around, etc. So let's have a look at this here. I could move out. I could go from this, actually, because that's already discovered. So I could put my dino out and do some combat, I believe. I may be wrong. If I was to do combat out here, let's have a look. I would put a shield head there, and then I could potentially defeat that shield head by paying the combat cost. If we look here, down at the bottom, that would be, I'd have to injure 2 rangers. I don't have 2 rangers, or I would have to use and tire out a raptor. Oh man, this is difficult, isn't it? Okay, so do I have the raptor cost to do that? Tire out a ranger and spend a food. Okay, maybe we're going to do this. We're going to think a little bit long term here. Okay, so I'm going to, in fact, go to training here, and I need a backpack or a horn. Now, if you look at my mana red, I don't have any of those. None of those in there. In fact, there are no backpacks, is there? Oh, there is a backpack. There we go. I'll just drop those there. 1 sec. I do have a red backpack. So we're going to use a backpack and put that there, which is great. Okay, so now I get to carry out 2 of these. Now, this is particularly good. I can't take an adventure card. I could, because I could get these here, but I'm thinking, actually, I want to start thinking about kind of moving out here and potentially using a raptor to get this, because I get an additional bonus benefit from doing that. I get 4 followers. Sorry, no, I don't. I only get food. All right. No, all right, I know what I'm going to do. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this first action here, which is to get 2 hunters, rangers, and to heal 2. Now, you have to spend your heal straight away. So I'll take 1 ranger. There we go. I'll take a 2nd ranger, and then I get to heal. I've only got 1 to heal, so suddenly I've gone from being ranger poor to being ranger rich, which is great. Now, I could upgrade, and I'm actually not going to at this stage. I am thinking about getting an adventure card. So let's have a look at this. This requires 3 rangers plus 1 of any other unit. And its first stage, it will get me an island resource. Then it will allow me to put some influence down, plus get a raptor, plus get a glowberry. And at the end of it, if it all survives, I get that particular artifact, which means it's free training and taming for my shield head. This one's quite good. 3 glowberries, an island resource, plus an influence, plus I get to put something in the city, plus I get the artifact. I'm going to go for this one. It leaves me a few more rangers. So that's what I'm going to do there. I'm going to take this, and what you do with this is you place... Oh, let me just move my token. Here we go. That's my marker. We're on round 1. We put this, and you line it up, and that goes just there. Okay, we'll come to how this works at the end of my turn. All right, so I've taken my 2 actions. So I took that and I took that there, and there we go. So now what's going to happen is I get to take my, if you look on here, I get to take my secondary action, which is use a supply, so remove 0, 1, 2 cubes, or use a perk. Now I've only got 1 on this officer, and this would allow me to oh, wow. Okay. Could I do that then? Actually, that's quite good. To defeat that, I'd have to injure 2. Oh, no, I've got to put these on here first. Oh, my God. Yeah, sorry, well, as soon as you get it, you have to put those on there. So that's that and that. So I can't actually do that perk anyway. So I've chosen to put 3 hunters on there. I could have put a tamed dino on there. I could have put Keone on there. Oh, no, let's do that instead. So we're going to put Keone on there. Okay, awesome. So that's that done. All right. So actually, that perk is pretty good. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to remove my influence as my secondary action, and I'm going to take this perk here, which allows me to spend an island resource and put a dino out in the wilderness. Okay, so we're going to spend an island resource, which is this here, I believe. Just make sure. Yeah. And put a tame dino out in the wilderness. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. What does that mean? It means I get to combat this untamed shield head. Now, you can only do this if you've got the right kind of resources. Same with the adventure cards. You can't take them if you can't do them. And if you look here, to capture it, I need to injure 2 of my hunters, or I need to tire out a raptor. Well, fortunately, I've got 2 hunters. So I'm going to injure these 2 hunters here. Bit of a dangerous later game because I've only got 2 infirmary spaces. That means I get to capture this untamed shield head, and that goes here. So suddenly I've got 4 untamed beasts, and I've really got to start thinking about what's happening here. Okay, but I've now explored this space. So what you do is you, when you've explored, you got that there. That means we can start branching out from here to other paths. Okay, you take the top 2 of these of the relevant area. And then you're going to choose one and kind of discard the other. You're meant to put it to the bottom of the pack. It's just a bit more difficult on Tabletop Simulator. So here we go. This one, it allows me a settlement bonus of spending nothing to tame a dinosaur, or I could put another settlement in the city. Or this one, if I settled, I could take 3 glowberries, or I think. Does that say after injure or heal? I don't know. Anyway, I'm not too sure on what that one is, but I'm not going to take that one. What we're going to do is we're going to take this. There's no bonus printed on this particular one here. You can see up here there's a bonus. If I was to cover it, I'd get that. So I'm going to put that there. Okay, and I'd say now there's 2 things I could do. I could tame a dinosaur for free, or I could put a settlement in the city and start building up my luck down here. I think I'm actually going to tame a dinosaur for free, a shield head for 3. So there we go, and there we go. Wow, that was my secondary action done. So we go back here, and then we have a look at adventure stage resolution. Okay, and this is where we are here. So it says here that first thing that happens, I'm going to get 3 glowberries. That's great. So 1, 2, 3. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. But as we move this on, as we move forward, I'll get to move this forward. This is going to move on to my next turn here. You can see this here. That means I have to make a threat roll. And if my threat roll is less than 5, then what happens? It's just fucking difficult. If it happens, then what happens is one of my guys is going to get injured. Now, I believe that if you've got your leader on there, he can absorb 1 injury, which is fine. So let's have a look at this threat die. Let's roll this bad boy then and see what. It's a 3. Okay, so we're just going to lay him down. Let's flip him over and put him there, and he's upside down. Okay, and that's fine. That's fine. So my next one, I know I'm going to get an island resource, get an influence, and get to place. If I got 2 in the wilderness, I will get to place 1 in the city. Ooh, okay, fine. So I need to think about putting stuff in the wilderness. And that is my go effectively done there. So we're going to move the adventure marker. Roll for injuries. We got 1, but my leader took it. Regain dinos and soldiers and dinos from the tired area. Well, we haven't tired any out yet. And also then, check for if it's an assembly. So now we're going to come over to here, okay? Maybe I should have done this sooner. And here we go, because you always want an indication on what moves they're going to take. So we come over to the dissenters now, and we look here, and we know that Narek is going to take this one, and Camilla is going to take this one here. This one stays here, okay? And this will move up, and another one will come out. So let's have a look here, and it says wilderness and highest. Oops. So wilderness and highest. That means we're going to take its tamed dino, its highest tamed dino, and put it out in the wilderness. And where does it go in the wilderness? Well, we look here, and it says highest, so that means the highest number that it can go to. Okay, so from here it can go to 4, it can go to 7, but I believe it's going to go here. I believe so. I could be wrong. I'll just need to clarify that at some point. So what we're going to do is we're going to take its tamed dino. Here we go, and we're going to put that on number 4, which is there. So it automatically wins. Okay, so there we go. It takes that dino into its offering. Then what happens is you're going to take the very top adventure card. Okay, put that on there, and you're going to discard the other face down. So it's kind of helping. It's kind of barreling through this. It's kind of barreling through these exploration cards. Okay. So yeah, we've placed it there. We got it on the heist. It's placed that card. Now, if we look at this card, oops. If we look at this card down in the bottom left corner, you can see a little pair of binoculars with an artifact under it. So if it doesn't have this artifact already, what it's going to do is it's going to take that artifact. So that would be, let me just double check on that. That would be this one here. So it's going to take this artifact, and we'll move this down here. And as I say, artifacts have an effect on kind of what happens with these reserves here. So now it's going to move on to its second its second reaction. So we've done the first action there. It's going to move on to its second reaction. On the second reaction, as we can see here, look at the captain card. If it's got influence on there, what's going to happen is it's going to take that influence away, and it's going to move its reserve down 1. If it doesn't have influence on the captain card, it's going to place 2 influence on there. Okay, so look at the captain card, which is here. It's blue. It does have influence on there. So what's going to happen is that reserve is going to move down 1. Remember, when it gets to 6, it gets to do a bonus action. And that's it. That's that particular turn done for Narek. And now we move on to onto Camilla. So here we go. We're going to go downtown. All right. So we look at the downtown area here, and we can see this here. And they're going to place a die. So first of all, they're going to look for one of their die they can place. They've got 2 books. Can they place books on there? Yes, they can. Okay, so first of all, they're going to place a book on there. Boom. That's that done. So starting to fill up those dice there, and they do start to get more and more aggressive as the game goes on. Then what's going to happen is they're going to take a shield head. They are going to take a raptor. And they're going to move 2 down on their reserve. 1, 2. Oh my God, they're starting to steam ahead down here. Okay, this here, sorry, at the top of the card, it does give you their preference for the dice that they want to play. They want to place, should I say? So there we go. Obviously, the book is there, the major one. Then down here, it's another one that if they've got influence, you can see there's a couple of different ones. That card up there is different to these two. So this one is kind of gain or take influence, etc. So we're going to look at Chief Steward. If they have influence on the Chief Steward, which they don't have, what's going to happen is they're going to place 2 influence cubes onto the Chief Steward. So 1 onto the Chief Steward. Oh, I'll tell you what I didn't do. And 2. There we go. That's 2 onto the Chief Steward. And we forgot for Narek that we needed to remove that influence and put that back into there. Okay. So that is their turn done. So what's going to happen is they're going to go up there. Okay. You can take this card, move that out to there. And we're going to take this card and flip that over on there. We're not going to flip this card over just yet. So we've got an indication on what their next turn is going to be. That is round 1 done. And round 1 went fairly quickly. Okay. So now we're on round 2 and we're back onto me. And again, it would be a case of what moves do I want to take? So again, I'm going to start thinking kind of suboptimally here, just so I can start whizzing through this just a little bit. So sorry, 1 second to put that up there. So let's start whizzing through this a little bit. What else can I do? I've done that. How many? I've got these guys here. I've got nobody here at all. So I could just take the same action again, which is good for me in this area, but it's a little bit boring in terms of what to do. So I'll tell you what we will do. I don't know, we're in the wilderness. Let's take this action, okay? And I'll show you what this is here, all right? So we're going to go to the workyard, all right? So look at my dice. What we've got? We've got a book. Great. Oh, we do have neutral, though. So neutral's good. So I'll take that neutral die and put that there. Neutral's good. It allows me to do it. But, of course, what it doesn't do is it doesn't give me the right kind of presence here in terms of when it comes to influence scoring. And we're going to take 2 actions. The first one we're going to take is going to be this wilderness. So I get to place something in the wilderness. All right, so I can do here or here. Oh, okay, fine. So let's take one of my settlements and place it up onto this here. And what does that allow me to do? It allows me to heal twice, well, 3 times, I think. Oh, twice, but there we go, 3 times. We've only got 2 there. And there we go. Suddenly, I've got these guys back, so that's all right. I'm all right there. I've now got some hunters. The next one allows me to I upgrade my ranch tiles, all right? So I can take a ranch tile from the display, or I can pay an island resource, take a ranch tile, and get a supply cube. Now, I use my island resource, so I don't have any island resource. So I'm just going to take a ranch tile, all right? What do I want to do? Well, that's quite a good one because that allows me to... does allow me to get 2 hunters and also pay the cost of taming a dinosaur. That means I may have got the wilderness. I am actually going to take that card, all right? So we're going to do this, and we're going to place this on our ranch board. And it doesn't matter where, well, it does matter where you put it because it depends what you want to do. And if you look here, that allows me to move out into the wilderness there. It gives me 3 glow berries. This allows me to place some influence. That gives me 2 more rangers. That gives me some influence. I'm actually going to place it there and take this one-time bonus, which allows me to... get 2 more rangers out of my bag. So let's do that. 1 and 2. Okay, so now that's my my action done. I placed that die. I took 2 of these. Couldn't take the bottom one. Didn't have enough food. Now it's my secondary action. And, I used a perk last time, so I may as well use to show you the supply here. All right. So let's have a look. I mean, I could do this action. I could do this. But that seems, kind of one that I should be doing. Okay, let's do that. So we're actually going to take 2 actions on this because I got this supply cube here. So we're going to get rid of that supply cube. That allows me to take 2 actions. The first one is to get another food resource, which is cool. All right, and the next one means I can get 2 more rangers. So my rangers are now starting to stack up. 1, 2. Okay. Oops. I'm sure he'll write himself at some point. There we go. Get 2 more rangers, and also allows me to pay the cost. So I can pay a glowberry to tame a shield head. So we'll pay that, which takes my glowberries down to that, and we'll tame that shield head. There we go. That's my secondary action done. Now we're back over to the adventure phase. Okay, so we look here. I'm going to get an island resource and 1 influence. So yay, 1, and we're moving up on the influence now. 2. Okay, I'm also going to, let me get this right. I think it's if I've got 2 out in the wilderness, I get to place 1 in the city. Let me just double check that. No, I wasn't quite right. That if I've got a settlement in area 2 on the map, then I could place a settlement in the city. I don't. If you look up here, area 2, I don't have a settlement because there's no card on there, no settlement. That means I can't take that particular one. All right. Could have done with a bit of forward planning from me. Never mind. Okay. So that's that done. Now I have to make 2 rolls, and I've got to score above 3 and above 2 here. Otherwise, people are getting injured. I get a 6. So that's all right. And I get a 6. So that's good. So nobody gets injured. That kind of moves on to there. And on the next turn, what happens is I would claim that reward, and I can then take another adventure card. So we're getting closer to being able to take that reward just there. It's the end of my turn. Back over to these guys. We'll do 1 more round here. Here we go. And Narek is getting the middle one. And Camilla is getting the right one. Okay, so here we go. Right. So if we look here, first of all, they're going to place a die into the construction zone. So we look at construction over here, and then they're blue. It's a hammer or a book. There is a hammer, so they can do that. So they're starting to build up their influence there on that. And then they're going to go for placing a dinosaur, a tame dinosaur, into on using something called control. So when you place their dinosaurs, generally in the wild, there are three kind of keywords that you're looking for. You have just control, forward, control and forward, sorry, so two keywords. Count the number of, and control is count the number of your coloured components and the centered colored components in each of 3 wilderness zones. We've only got 1. Select a subzone that you've not yet had an assembly, where the difference, all right, so that's fine, we're still there. Consider all locations in that subzone that are not yet explored and accessible, i.e. adjacent to a previously explored location, and select the one with the highest number. So we're going to take his raptor, okay, up there, up to the board. Oh, there we go. And we're looking for the highest adjacent one that they could do. All right. So the highest number that they could do. And again, we could move out into here, I believe. But I think we're just going to stay for the same to the same area. So we look here. That would allow you to go to 6 there. So we'll take him to 6. Oh, look at that. They managed to get this, which is great. Okay, you can see they're starting to kind of move up. Now, remember that what happens when they do this is they explore as well. So what's going to happen is they're going to take that card, flip it over, put that on there, and we're going to get rid of that one. So get rid, kind of put it at the bottom of the stack. We're going to check here about the artifact. It is the same artifact they've already got, so that doesn't happen there. All right, so that's what's happened on that. But if we also look at the actions that they've got, they're also going to cycle the ranch offer, and they're going to increase their reserve as well. So I should have put that out there and flip that. So what's going to happen is that, and that. They're going to move from there to there. They're going to move there, there, and there. That's going to flip. Oops, flip. On there, back on there. Flip. On there. Oops. On that, back on there. Flip. A little bit more difficult, obviously, on TTS. It's a lot easier if you're just handling the cards on your own. On there, and then flip that. Oops. That on there, back, and then just flip the top one of each one of those now. So they've cycled through that ranch offer. Sorry, I just got a new mouse, and every now and again, it just flummoxes me. Okay, there we go. So that was that. But remember, they've got this other action here, which is that they are going to increase. They're going to increase their reserve, so that's going to go down again. So they're already eking up to getting ready for this bonus action down here. Then we move on to their secondary action, which is this down here. And again, it's another one where we're looking to. We are looking about the reserve that they got on the chief engineer this time. So they don't have any on the chief engineer, which is fine. So what they're going to do is they're going to put influence on the chief engineer and move that down. Oh my God, they're starting to move up. Right, so that's Narek's turn done. Okay, and now we're going to look at Camilla. And again, they're going out into the wilderness. And they're going to try and control again out in the wilderness. Okay, so what's going to happen out there? It's a wilderness card, is they're going to put one of their tame dinos out into the wilderness. We know that control is the highest number that they can get to. That's adjacent. Again, I know I'm just going to stay away from the top areas, just because just easier. Here we go, and we are going to we'll control this. Okay. All right, so we'll take their highest rated dino, I believe, or the lowest one they can get away with, which is this one here, and we put that there. They automatically win this. May have got a slight error on that, but that's okay. We're going to take a wilderness card. Okay, flip. Get rid of that one. Boom. Oh my God! It means an assembly is going to happen at the end of their turn. Okay. So that's that done there. They've got that wilderness card. They've done that. They've taken another dino. Here we go. Okay. And now we're going to look at this, and it's their secondary action. Okay. So now we look at their secondary action here, and it means that they are going to, let's see, is that gain influence or let's remove influence? Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, so they are going to do it on their favored. And what is their favored basically on this? So we look at their favored here, and it's the chief mate. So we look at the chief mate, and the chief mate is up here. They don't have any influence on there, so they're going to put 2 influence on the chief mate. That means they're favored, and you can see over here, it says at the top of the card, their favored one is the chief mate. So 1 and 2, and there we go. Right, so that's both their actions done there. They didn't increase their reserve. Both their actions done, but look over here. Look at this card. It means that an assembly is going to happen. Now, as I say, in assemblies, what happens is for all intents and purposes, they are effectively blocking your points. They're not scoring themselves, but they are blocking your points. So any points that you can get are going to be potentially halved by the dissenters. And there are 2 types of assemblies, as I mentioned earlier. There's a wilderness assembly, which takes place up here, and then there is the city assembly if you've got 3 dice in one particular area, which we don't down here, so there'll be no city assembly right now. So as we look up here, then we've got a wilderness assembly, and it's going to take place because we've managed just to stay in, of course, in this area around here. And what we're going to do is count up the total number of coloured pieces in here for each player. So let's first of all, let's have a look at myself. There we go. I've got 2. Blue has got 2. Green has got 1. So blue and I tie for that, basically. So if we go down here, this means that I would get 3 influence because ties are friendly. Okay. However, this isn't going to be influence. It's going to be acceptance. So 1, 2, 3. Believe that's how it works. I've got 2, they've got 2, that dissenter's got 1. That means that blue and I tie. Yep, that's correct. If I'd got 1 more out there, I would have stopped. Yeah, it wouldn't really matter. So that's that. But then we go up to the officer scoring now as well. Okay, so we look up here, and for every who's got the most influence on there would then score on these down here. Well, of course, it's green that's got the most influence on there. So effectively, that doesn't happen. Yeah. So that's not going to happen now. So there is no score for them. I've got that there. The city one doesn't happen. Now, I believe that after a wilderness assembly, I think that you still kind of re-roll all the dice. I could be wrong. I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to re-roll the dice anyway, okay? So we're going to re-roll those dice. I could be wrong. I apologize if I am. And what you would do is you would re-roll those dice and you would start all over, not all over again, but you'd start expanding again, okay? We would get rid of their 2 cards. 1 and 2. Remove that card there, flip that over, that card there, leave that there, move back to my turn, continue the game. And you can see, once you get used to what the various icons do, then it works very, very, very quickly. As I say, you're going to continue up here until you got to your 8th turn. When it's the 8th turn, when the wall would go there, that's it. That is game over. There are only 8 turns, but you can see my first 2 turns, there were actions upon actions upon actions you can already start to do. As you expand out into the jungle and into the hills, it becomes more and more difficult, more rewarding to do that also as well. And you're going to get those artifacts and you're going to uncover the temples. Maybe you're going to get an iron jaw at some point, which would be absolutely fantastic because they're really good. If you look at the iron jaw in terms of combat, let's go down here. So iron jaws is just, utterly fantastic. You get to use them. If you use them in combat, basically, you get 3 influence for doing that, which is really just fantastic. So they become more powerful. Of course, influence is a big thing as you're building up that influence to get your to get your presence. To get your influence on the officers, and also as you're building up your presence, that's how you're going to start racking up your That should move from there. That's how you're going to start racking up your influence and your acceptance. In terms of managing the AI themselves, so look at the dissenters themselves. Look, it may seem a little bit complex, but it's taken that same basis that they did in Perseverance episodes 1 and 2 by having this card display system, and kind of streamlined the moves. The hardest part is just understanding the mechanics of each move. Actually making the decision about what to do and where to put it is relatively straightforward, basically. So, you don't have too much to worry about on that. Once you've played the game, a couple of times, once you play a few rounds, you'll start moving through those dissenters turns pretty quickly. You got these agenda cards here as well, so certain things will ask you to look at the agenda, and you choose agenda A or B. And as I mentioned, each one has also got their their reserve or their bonus move down at the bottom as well. That starts to happen. At certain points, certain actions will put their leaders out on the board, and that means they're going to start blocking where your leader can go, which are these spaces up here. And of course, because what you may not want to do is you may want to take another action, but you don't want to trigger an assembly. So if you use your leader to do that rather than put a dice on there, that allows you to then take that action. But they can stop and block you from doing that. So look, it's just a case of learning the various icons and the placement. It's not a massive thing. Once you understand the game, moving through those dissenters turns is really, really good. The overall game is a more streamlined version of Perseverance than you played before. The fact that it's only 8 turns doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not a lot, and it really is about optimizing from early on. And once you start to do that and start to think about long-term strategy, then you're really going to start uncovering just how much fun the game is. I played it multiplayer at Gen Con, and I played it obviously a few times on TTS solo as well. And like all of these games, if you try to do too much at once, then you're not going to get anywhere. So you've got to think about strategies and adapting that strategy. As we move out into these various areas, the jungle and the hills, then what happens is these blockers on these adventure cards, they can move away, and those adventures will become available. Had we finished my next turn, I would have taken an adventure card, and I would have taken an artifact. Yay! So I would have taken this artifact, I would have put this onto there, and that would have meant that instead of paying a glowberry to start taming my shield heads, I would get that for free, which is fantastic. Look at this here. You're taming the raptors, you have to tire out an archer, and you also have to spend a food as well. So unveiling those artifacts is really good. They give you additional bonuses here and there. Building this, getting your own kind of your own feel for what you want your ranch to look like is an interesting puzzle as well at the same time. Again, it allows you to think about how you're strategizing moving forward and optimizing things. As there are just loads to like, I know a lot of people, I do. I prefer episode 2 to episode 1. Episode 1 is an introduction into the world of Perseverance. Episode 2 is a much meatier game. I think episode 3 is my favorite so far. You get to ride dinosaurs, which is just utterly fantastic, and suddenly you become this powerful leader by doing that as well. And I think that's a really, really interesting and smart move here, and it's really good to see the whole Perseverance thing starting to kind of close the cycle now as well. Really excited on how episode 4 is going to be. So there we go. That's kind of a brief overview. By no means a full-on rules explanation. I will have made some mistakes, and I apologize for that. This was more about showing you just how the solo AI works, how streamlined it is, and how challenging it can be, as well as they start to increase their presence on the board and stop you from getting that acceptance and that influence that you so eagerly need to win the game. There are difficulty modifiers where you can increase or decrease their difficulty as well. But yeah, again, as you can imagine with the Turksy solo mode, it's a stroke of genius, and it works so well. So well done to David, and I think John Albertson's worked heavily on this as well. Really, really good adaptation of the solo mode. Fantastic adaptation of Perseverance. Hope you enjoyed the playthrough. My name's Mark. This is Not Board Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out our other videos. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you very much for joining me. And remember, one final thought. If you can't find anyone else to play with, then there's nothing wrong with playing with yourselves. Until next time, bye-bye.